All right, so here we go. So everybody knows that on, let me show you, on Wednesdays, we do the Urban Economic Empowerment Show. And we have the privilege of being on there with Garfield, who's part of the Dagger Squad. And this is his contact information, right? And so we do that on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern time. But I want to give some people who who are calling and emailing and don't really have an understanding of what the government certifications are about. So I'm gonna go through a few. So here's one: disadvantaged business enterprise. It is a certification for you must be 51% owned and controlled by a socially and economically disadvantaged individual or individuals. The disadvantaged owners must be a United States citizen or lawful admitted permanent resident of the United States. The firm must be a small business that meets Small Business Administration size standard and does not exceed 23.98 million in gross receipts for disadvantaged business enterprises and 56.42 million in gross received. The personal net worth for all owners claiming disadvantaged status for the DBE must not exceed 1.3 million. Then the firm must be organized as a for-profit business. So if you want to qualify for the DBE certification, which is housed at the Department of Transportation in any state, even though it's federal money, because a lot of the contracts, the DBEs that come out for DBE are usually construction type contracts, not limited to others, but the majority comes out in construction. So it's housed at the Department of Transportation and it's the DBE program. And all states have the same similar format eligibility. No state is different from another because keep in mind it's a federal program. So the application is pretty standard. The only difference is probably the name of the state on the app. Then you have the Service Disabled Veteran Owned Small Business Certification. Now, this certification is for service disabled veterans. They must have a service connected disability that has been determined by the Department of Veteran Affairs or Department of Defense. The service disabled veteran owned small business must be small under the North American Industry Classification System, which is that we call NAT codes assigned to by procurement. The small disabled veteran must be unconditionally owned 51% to be on that certification. And then the service disabled veteran owned must be controlled and managed in daily operations by that particular veteran. And the service disabled veteran must hold the highest office position. So basically, what this is saying, if you are service connected, meaning you are compensated by Department of Veteran Affairs or Department of Defense as a veteran, then you are eligible. And if you own that company, you have to be at least 51% owned or higher. You cannot be owner part owner of the company and you are like 49 or 50% or lower ownership. You have to be at least 51% and you have to manage and operate that company. How is that determined? They look at who's signing those documents and who's in control, and trust me, they will come out and do an audit unannounced because we just had one, right? And then you have minority business enterprise, women owned businesses. These pretty much have the same qualifications. You have to be 51% owned and controlled by a minority or a woman. Minority or a woman owned must be United States citizens and lawfully admitted permanent residents of the United States. The firm must be organized in a for profit business, small business enterprise, and or emerging small business enterprise. This can be practically almost anybody, right? And those are the lists right there, and you can read it accordingly. All right. So, in order to qualify or to determine whether or not you would be approved for a certification, I've created a particular checklist. Now, almost every checklist you see will have these items somewhere on there. Your first thing, you have to identify your business's EIN number. That's with the IRS. Then your state, the state in which you want to operate from. That's the articles of incorporation or articles of existence, however you want to call it. Any amendments, if you've been in business and you had some changes in your organization, you need to have that attached as well. The DUNS number, which is kind of like a credit report for your business. If you're going to be operating, if you're going to have a business location in whatever county or parish that business dwell, you're going to need a license for that. If you're going to have employees, you have to have gone through the Department of Revenue to get your unemployment tax ID and Department of Labor to get your, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Department of Revenue to get your withholding tax ID and Department of Labor to get your unemployment tax ID. If you're going to sell items, then you need to also get a retail license from the Department of Revenue. If you rent in a space, you're going to have copy of the rental agreement or the lease agreement. Any vehicles, you need the registration of those vehicles, VIN number, license registration. Some corporations that are put together, they put together bylaws. If there's more than one owner involved, you should have an operations agreement, even if it's just you, on how that business operates. Capability statements pretty much is a capture of your actual business. So all on one sheet, kind of like a one sheet. Brochures, it's optional. You should have business cards because you should always be networking your business. And the list goes on and on. That's it's not limited to just that, right? I'm just giving you an idea and a sample. If you're going to do a nonprofit organization, then you should be seeking at least the 501c3, the 1023 paperwork. You can do it online, but guess what? They're still going to ask you for the hard copy. So either way it go, you can do it online or you can do it in hard copy. And then you need to make sure all these documents are attached. The EIN, articles of corporation. Some states require you to have the 501c3 attachment. Some have it already included in the articles. Board, a list of your board members, done number, the same rule applies. A business credit report pretty much. Charity registration, if it's not already included in the corporation paperwork, then there should be a separate documentation. And bylaws. How is your organization going to operate? So guess what? Minding your business by maintaining your income and expenses, taking advantage of a simple cash management system. Listen, everybody has to have some type of system or whatnot. Here's a sample of one on how to document your expenses. Real easy. If you want to know more, you can inbox me. All right, so let's talk about, let me go back because I didn't got too far ahead of myself. So basically, the only thing I wanted to really cover is these governmental certifications. So it's not limited to the DBE, the veterans owned, MBE, woman owned, SBE, or ESBE. Some counties have local certifications for the county level. There's also the hub zone and there's also 8 alpha. And all of them pretty much have the same they pretty much have the same eligibility. You have to be a citizen, and that company has to be at least 51% owned of whatever classification that you are applying for. So, again, if you are applying for a certification, the reason I advocate for it because there are contracts that comes out for those as a set aside specifically for these different certifications, right? Just to give a fair chance. If you decide that you want one, you can do this on your own. I have no doubt that you can. I only offer services that I could possibly help you get it done quicker. But if you want to do this on your own, hey, have as it. The information is public knowledge. You can Google search it, DBE, SDVO, OSB, MBE, WBE, SBE, ESBE, 8 Alpha, GSA, Hub Zone. You can Google all of that information, and you can determine the documentation and fill it out and get it sent in. Or you can contact me, and I can actually make sure you get it done in a timely manner. Or you can hit up Garfield at this number, and he'll make sure you're headed in the right direction. And that's all I wanted to share in reference to this, because I'm going to revisit it on um, Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. But that's for those individuals who've been asking thus far, so you don't have to wait. That's an idea of government certifications, the who, what, when, why. Okay? And you can't get around a checklist because every one of them has it. But as I stated, you can do it on your own, or you can contact us and we'll get you through it. All right, y'all. Until next time, peace.